Hi, this is Rob. If you've been around for a minute, you saw a post that I made a few months ago about a comic that I had made for a client called Animay, and it was all about it racing in cars and stuff like that. I did a double feature post about it. Well, that series got greenlit for a second issue, which I'm very excited about. So I decided to do just a fun drawing to kind of warm back up into the world, and so I'm just throwing a bunch of junk together from that story, and just with it's like, I figure it's Annie and her mechanic and her teammate and they're just kind of floating around, and I just went kind of improv with it, sort of Kim Jong-gi style, and so did this pencil guide here, and I'm about to whip out this dope pen that my second youngest brother-in-law talked me into getting. Of course, he didn't really have to do much convincing. He just described to me what it was. I was like, oh my God. It's called a Lumos Duo, and it's from a company called Tom Studio from the UK. And this pen, as far as I can tell, it freaking rocks. So right now I'm using the brush tip, which is not generally what I go for. And I'll explain why in a little bit. But ultimately, this pen it's got you can have two tips going at the same time. But the really special thing about it is that it has these refillable cartridges. And I'm about to bust that out right now. It's basically a wad of cotton wrapped in plastic, kind of like a cigarette. And you dip it into an ink reservoir or an ink jar or whatever. And it like absorbs up the thing into the tip. So you can basically refill those infinitely. And so I'm like, that's super cool, because I love using fine liners a lot. And there are fine liner tips available for this pen. Ranging, I think it's 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, and 0.8. I might be missing one, but so that's really solid. It's a great array of tips. It's going to be everything I need. So I decided to buy this pen. It's very expensive, so I don't recommend it if you're just kind of like wanting to tool around unless you got money to spare. But I figure with the amount of fine liners I go through, this thing is going to pay for itself in a year or two. So, this is a financially savvy decision on my part, as long as the pen's good. So this is me kind of trying it out. And the only thing I don't like about using felt tip brush pens is they tend to kind of poof out. I used to use the Faber-Castell ones and had that problem. You spend $5 on a pen, and after one or two drawings, the brush tip, the fine point of the brush tip goes poof, kind of like the frayed end of a rope or something like that is sort of what it looks like. And so, but the good thing is these tips are pretty inexpensive, and this one's not fraying as much as I've seen from some other felt tips. And like I said, I don't even plan on using that much anyways, except for maybe filling. It's very useful for that. You see I'm doing the shading with it there. It's great for that. And this ink that I'm using, I made sure to test this. It is in fact waterproof, and I don't recommend watercoloring on this loop tube paper. It's not what it's made for. But it does work. And again, I was just kind of tooling around and goofing, trying to explore and find out some things about these new materials I've got. So I was just having some fun. And so it is water resistant. I don't know if I didn't let it dry long enough or what, but there was still a little bit of bleeding, and that's using both the Sailor ink, which is like a bottle of it is $30. It's pretty expensive. And the other one is the one that came with the pen from Tom Studio. So they're both solid inks. I really like the way they look. Not perfectly waterproof, but as you can see, it's not too bad. So there you go. If you're in the market for an expensive pen, I definitely recommend this one. And I hope you enjoy.